Hey guys, Eric Crowder from Nerdy Geek Talk, source for all your nerdy geeky needs, here with episode 4 of TFPrimecast. So, joining me today, I have Aaron. Aaron, how you doing?
Ayo.
So, the two of us, we are breaking down Transformers Prime episodes 8 and 9, which are Con Job and Convoy.
A
Convoy?
lot of cons.
Yeah, I know that is. Yeah, both have con in it. I didn't even notice that. But yeah, let's break these down. So, quick overview of episode 8, Con Job. Basically, this is the Wheeljack introduction episode where Wheeljack's like, "Hey, I'm coming to Earth," and everyone's like, "Yay!" They're going to get Wheeljack, and Wheeljack gets switched out by a Decepticon makeshift that can shapeshift into any Transformer. So he's trying to infiltrate the Autobots, and after a while, they realize, hey, that ain't Wheeljack. And then the real Wheeljack escapes conveniently at the same time, and they fight each other, and they beat each other up, and Wheeljack wins, and Makeshift blows up, and yay. There's your summary for
Yeah.
the episode. So, going in and breaking it down. First thing I have written is, who's the boyfriend? But I'm confused why I wrote that.
I just wrote it based on the comment she made. I just wrote, so who's the boyfriend down? Because I thought it was a fun little comment from RC about Bulkhead and
Oh,
Wheeljack.
yeah.
Because there's a
Okay,
definite bromance going on there, and it's fun.
for sure. So yeah,
But,
I thought that was funny that she mentioned that. Like, who's the boyfriend?
yeah.
Uh,
Then I have talking about Makeshift, because it kind of immediately jumps to that afterwards.
oh, I first have that. This is the first official mention we have of the records, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I
That's
just put that.
first
That's
official in that, because I think the comic had come out beforehand.
wait, the comic?
Are you talking about official in the show or just
Oh,
official?
I mean in this continuity. But
Oh, all
well,
right.
I mean they exist earlier in the continuity too. But I mean, like this is the first time in the
Yeah,
show
all
that
right. Yeah, I
yeah the
got you. I
records are
got you.
mentioned.
All
Yeah,
right.
not the first time it existed. As Transformers records mentioned, just in the show, which actually is a point that comes back later because guess what? This isn't the only wrecker we will get joining the cast.
Exactly.
Uh, but I'm curious if they even thought about that this early on. I kind of don't think so, but I don't know. I wonder if they planned for that.
I mean, they set them up as expendable from the beginning, considering what the records have always been since the days of Simon Furman. So,
No, but I mean introducing Magnus. Like, did they?
introducing Magnus is that was a
Yeah,
very interesting addition, in my opinion. But we can get to that when his episode actually comes in like 2 seasons.
that's what I'm saying. Is like I wonder if they actually were thinking about adding Magnus because he is a wrecker.
I
Like
don't think they
whenever they
were.
first like this early on, I don't think so either. I think that
I
came
think
later on.
I think that we can talk about that decision later. But I think it was just a decision because Optimus was gone temporarily to add a straight man to the team.
Was he gone temporarily though? He was gone an episode, literally an episode.
Yeah, but they needed someone to be the straight man for those couple episodes. That's
Like
not why we're here, though. We're here to
we'll
discuss
see.
the con job.
Plus, there is some foreshadowing of Magnus's arrival in this season. Actually,
Yeah,
we'll get to it.
but
But
with
yeah,
Makeshift though, he's pretty dope in the books. I don't know if you read the books.
I did.
Um,
I liked him.
but
He was Hound in the
yeah,
books, wasn't he? That's
yeah,
right.
he was Hound, and they
Yep.
capture him, and he turns into like three different robots at once, like trying to escape.
Yep.
And they always kept his look unknown. They never told you what he looked like before he shapeshifted, and they kind of do that in the show as well. They
Yeah, I
keep
was
him
gonna
very
say
like
we get.
angular and generic.
I was gonna say we get like a shadow almost, like we get a silhouette kinda. He's spiky,
Yeah.
but yeah, overall we don't get to see what he looks like, which I kind of like, and also I kind of wonder like. Do you think he has his own definitive identity? Like, it wouldn't that be
He's gotta.
an interesting character trait that he like literally just becomes like a combination of the people he is that he can't even
Well,
be, himself?
what
That'd
is
be
it?
weird.
You ever seen Dragon Ball Z?
No.
Well, there's a character, Captain Ginyu, who can switch bodies, and it's very heavily implied that the body he's in when we meet him is not his original body. Actually, I think it's straight up said in one of the like books or something, like one of the guidebooks, that that's not his original body. So like, I think that's kind of like the thing with Makeshift is no one actually knows what he originally looks like.
Yeah.
He might just keep it to himself to kind of like shapeshift into other people and take over their lives. Maybe, who knows?
Hmm.
But for all we know, this could be the third Makeshift. There could be multiples. Like,
Yeah. My next note is how do they have the schematics to Wheeljack?
How
Because
do
sound.
they have the schematics to any of them?
Well, I mean, yeah, Soundwave only pulls up Wheeljack, so we don't know how many schematics they have. But yeah, he pulls up the schematics to Wheeljack and then plugs into Makeshift, and Makeshift becomes him, and it's a bit weird, but it's sort of
I
how it
mean,
goes. But
they could have
how did they
gotten the
have the
Autobot
information?
records when they or the Autobot records when they attacked Iacon before leaving the planet.
Maybe it is
Because that would come
reasonable.
in handy, knowing like basically everyone who's in the Autobot army.
Yeah, I did
So
find it interesting that they got him down to a T, like even the scars on his lip and stuff. I'm just like, man,
yeah,
they really did. So
one could say that the animation team didn't want to make another model.
yes. Uh, but yeah, I just thought that was interesting that Soundwave just happened to have Wheeljack schematics. Now, what you said is somewhat reasonable, but still, it's like that's kind of a stretch, but it's one that's it's not that bad. So you could that's reasonable. It's reasonable.
Yeah. And then
Um,
what do we go to?
Next
We
thing I
cut
have is
to
they
the
mentioned the scraplets. I thought the
yeah. I have
scraplets
that
didn't matter,
too.
but I was like, they mentioned it. It at least popped up, so
Yeah.
I appreciated that. I mean,
It's.
I'm
I think
almost
he
certain
mentions
this
what?
was.
It's been like a month or so. I think there was like a definitive amount of time he said. I just can't remember though.
I don't remember if he said the time, but either
He
way,
might
it
have.
happened somewhat recently.
Yeah, recently enough that they weren't able to fix it. So
Yeah, I am certain this will be the last time they ever mention the scraplets, but they at least mentioned it, which is more than I remembered them ever. I thought
two
that
seasons down the line, oh my God, they mentioned the Scrablets again. Look at how
I
wrong we were.
say I thought that the scraplets were literally never mentioned. That could be a completely skippable episode, but you would be confused for 2 seconds watching episode 8 if you
Yeah, you'd
didn't,
be like, what is he talking about?
and then
Like,
you wouldn't care. But next thing I have is
I have Wheeljack beat someone up with their own arm.
oh, first before that, I we get to see Wheeljack's ship, which I think
Oh,
is
yeah,
cool.
that's
I
right. I
like it.
like his ship
Yeah,
design.
his ship design's cool. I think is it called the Skyhammer? I could be wrong. I want to
That's
say
what
that.
the toy was called,
Okay,
so I'm
yeah,
gonna
the
go with it.
toy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Or was it the
decent.
Jackhammer?
Jackhammer. It was a jackhammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I messed that up. So jackhammer, which I don't think they mentioned in the show. I think that literally that
No, wait, no, they did. Later in one of the seasons, I think he says something like, "Oh, I got the Jackhammer fixed up" or
this
something.
episode is what I meant. He literally just called it his
Oh,
ship.
this
I was gonna
episode.
say he
Yeah, no,
literally
but
called it
later in the
later. He
series,
said
they
his
do
ship.
mention the name. Like,
Cool.
so I think
Interesting.
after the fight when Optimus Prime comes back, they mention it.
I'm curious if they named if because he specifically does not refer to it by name. He at the end of the episode he specifically says, "Now that my ship is fixed," he doesn't say the jackhammer's fixed. I'm
Yeah.
curious if that means that they added in the name later in the series whenever he mentions the name because they named the toy. Like if the
They
toy's
might
name,
have.
I'm just
I wouldn't be
I was
surprised.
gonna say I'm just interested in that if that's why they didn't mention this episode or what. But then jet Viacons are pretty cool. They come down and yes, as you said, Wheeljack beats people up with an arm.
He rips off one of the dude's arms and just beats them up with it.
Yup.
Can I give you a hand?
Why use swords when you can just rip off someone's arm and hit people with that?
Yeah. But the thing is, like, from what we can tell, they made the switch before he started fighting the Viacons. Or
Yeah,
at least before they showed up and he was fighting
yeah.
Viacons.
I was gonna say it's at least before. That's what I was gonna say next was when did when did they do the switch? Because we don't get
It's
to
a
see
very
that.
convincing Wheeljack too. Like he very much has a good fighting style.
So I'm curious. In my mind that when we see Wheeljack fighting first, that's Wheeljack. Then it cuts to the Autobots, and I'm like, in
Yeah,
my
I think it
mind,
happened
yeah, I
then.
was gonna say, in my mind, that is when they switch because that would also give him the chance to see how Wheeljack was fighting. Then they capture Wheeljack, he takes the place and starts killing Viacons. Which originally I was like, killing your own troops, like that's kind of. Then I was like, no, they're Viacons. No one would care. Makeshift wouldn't care.
Honestly, like
Starscream wouldn't care. No one would care.
if you want to come up with a reason for it, you can headcanon the hell out of it and just say, "Oh, Wheeljack didn't finish them off fast enough, so Makeshift had to do it."
Uh huh. So,
If you want to justify it somehow for some reason.
but I feel like they wouldn't
Yeah.
care. They're
They
Viacons.
wouldn't.
So,
Yeah, exactly. Makeshift would be like, "Hey guys, thanks for helping out. See you later." And they'd be like, "What?" And then he'd just be like, whoosh, like,
which it was a good fight scene. I gotta say, I liked that.
yeah,
I think I prefer the Wheeljack fight later, which is definitively Wheeljack. There's no question
yeah.
as to when or whether or not that is Wheeljack. But we'll get to that. Next thing I have is Bulkhead is obsessive. Like obsessive. Like again, I mean, in all fairness, it has been probably hundreds of years since he's, well, not hundreds, since they've
Probably
only been on
nah. It's
Earth for
been
a
a
while.
while.
It's been, well, actually, since here's the thing, they gave time frame, actually, because he says that he left that mission with Wheeljack, which I believe they stated was on Cybertron. He said,
Yeah,
no, I
Dark
wasn't
Mountain
there.
Pass.
He said, I wasn't there because I left to rendezvous with Optimus and stuff. So that means he's only been on Earth for a relatively short time, Transformers-wise. Because,
Yeah,
their battle has been, for like millions of years, whereas they've only been on Earth.
probably like 10, not even
I was
maybe.
going to say, we
No,
actually don't
5.
know do we know how long
Yeah.
they were on Earth
Well, the
before?
Decepticons. What did they say? They say the Decepticons didn't have any activity for what, 3 years? So they've at least been there like 3 or 4.
As I say, they've at least been fighting the Decepticons before that. We don't even know how long they were fighting the
I
Decepticons
mean,
before that,
I
though.
just go
So
with 10, like as a
yeah, that's what
general
I was
time
kind of thinking.
frame,
I was
because
guessing
like
at 10
look at
years.
how much they have set up with the government. They have everything set up with the government. They have their whole base set up. Like
Yeah.
all that stuff would take probably years to do.
Yep. So
So
I would guess that it's somewhere around there too. But honestly, I don't know if there's any material that states when they got on Earth or like how long they've been there.
it
Now that
might
I'm
be in the
thinking about it.
Covenant, possibly.
But they never
Maybe.
talk about Earth and oh well, the Covenant they talk about Earth. I was thinking about the trilogy of books. I was like, they don't get
Yeah.
to Earth in the trilogy of books. What are you talking about? Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of interested in that now. I want to know. We need to track some people down and ask some questions. But anyway, uh, I like how Bulkhead, whenever they get Wheeljack, says, "I taught you that." When Wheeljack's stabbing someone with a sword, like
Yeah.
Bulkhead taught him something with a sword.
Hey man, you never know.
Maybe he meant like the way he grabbed him and like smashed with a weapon because he could do that with his
Maybe.
his weapon. But I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. I was like, why did he say it for that move? Like he's literally been fist fighting everyone beforehand, and then when he uses the sword, that's when you're like, I taught him that. It's like I just don't. It's possible. Maybe Bulkhead knows how to use swords and he just hasn't forever. But he doesn't seem like a
Maybe.
sword guy to me. Next thing. Do you have anything before Wheeljack and Starscream meet?
I just have the next thing, which is our inside man is already inside, which is when they meet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how unimpressed everyone is with Starscream whenever they find
He's like,
out
why
he's
does
here.
no one believe me?
That's
Like,
such a great. I love that. That's just as much of a running thing as Ratchet's. I need that. Like Ratchet says that like all the time. Like that's a thing. So is everyone being unimpressed with Starscream. Now eventually that changes because, hint hint, Starscream isn't going to stay in charge for forever. But also he's not. He's going to change the character later, which is really
yeah.
interesting. But yeah, it's a thing very much that everyone when they first meet him are like, what? Why?
Exactly.
Why? Like everyone's like, how and why? Just huh? And he's like unimpressed. I just love that. Then the next thing is, hey, do you want a lob?
Yeah, which is basically just catch.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting that they just it's called lobbing, and they say it's popular especially among the warrior class. Therefore, Bumblebee is not allowed to play. Or do you think there's a foreshadowing to warrior classes being
I don't
a new
think that
price
was.
point in Robots in Disguise toy line? Definitely some real life foreshadowing right there.
You're getting too conspiracy
They
there,
were
Eric.
definitely Conspiracy 101.
New
This was on-
podcast, Transformers Conspiracies with Eric. Comment down below if you'd like to see that. He won't actually come up with anything. He'll just look at some stuff and go, those have the same words. They must be related.
Yes, exactly. No real conspiracies. Only like outrageous, ridiculous ones that are very
Yeah.
false. But no,
But
obviously
then
not.
B and
but-
Raph do the robot. Which is just...
Yes.
And like B perfectly mimics him too. And I'm like, wow, it's interesting.
Yeah. I was just like, yeah, that's interesting. That's weird. But next thing I have is, why do they keep Wheeljack alive? But actually, before we even get to the dancing, why doesn't he kill him? He says that he has further use for him, possibly, but like,
Well,
what?
in the books, did Makeshift kill Hound? I don't think he did.
No, Hound was alive and left on Cybertron, I believe.
Yeah, so maybe it's a whole, like, they have to be alive for him to keep up the appearance?
But Soundwave downloaded the schematics separately, so I don't know. That's the only thing is like he didn't even scan him directly, so I don't know. I find that to be
Yeah, and
It's a
like,
bit weird. I mean, it still could be like, well, maybe he knows where more Autobots are and we're going to torture him and stuff, but
yeah,
still, it
that's
was just
different.
like
But like the
whenever it's.
Hound thing kind of makes sense because like he's in there for deep cover. He's eventually going to leave the Autobots. So like it would make sense for him to keep Hound alive so he could make his escape a bit easier. But then with like this, it's like, well, they're just going to murder the Autobots. That's their plan. So
Yeah. So it's a bit weird. I was just questioning why. I mean, if you would have said, like, literally, like, we just need to know where more Autobots are, like, then yeah, I guess I buy
they
it. Why you're
might have
keeping them
said
alive
it
to.
and we just forgot. But
No, he definitely didn't, because I listened. I was like, why is he keeping them alive? Because he
I
specifically,
gotcha.
he said, we have further use for you. Because he was like, he was angry whenever Wheeljack was mocking him, and he was like literally about to do the cliff jumper thing, kill him. And he's like, oh, I'd kill you, but we have further use for you. I was like,
Yeah.
what further use? But I don't know. Next thing I have is, oh, so do you have anything before Wheeljack's fight on the ship?
Oh wow, you really don't have like the fight where he escapes?
Yeah.
Wow, you're missing a lot of notes. Um,
What happened noteworthy in between then?
so I put down how Ratchet gives us a time frame for how long the episode is. Because it's a few hours because of the defrag process. I just put makeshift plays everyone like crazy. I like the friendly banter. It's clear that Bulkhead suspects something,
Yeah.
and then that's really shown when Bulkhead asks about Dark Mount Pass.
Well, before that, he seemed to. I don't know if he thought like traitor, but he certainly sensed something was off slash wrong.
Exactly.
But then, yeah, later whenever he was like,
Like
yeah,
it
tell the
proves that
story.
he had been suspicious because I can't remember if he did, but he had mentioned Dark Mount Pass earlier in the episode. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if he asked Wheeljack to tell the story, but he had mentioned it earlier in the episode.
Did he? I thought it was a different war story. You could
I
be
think
right,
he did
but
mention Dark Mount Pass, if I'm remembering correctly. It's been like a week since I watched the episode, but there was a reason I specifically wrote down Dark Mount Pass. Like, I would have just asked, like, I would have put down, oh, he asked about the battle, but I remember thinking to myself, oh, shit, he mentioned that earlier. I should write that down. Like, because he had mentioned something about it, but it showed, I'd said Bulkhead asked about Dark Mount Pass before, showing he had suspected Makeshift for a bit before actually asking him.
uh-huh.
So he asked about it twice, but remember Makeshift dodged the question earlier? He got
Yeah.
all dodgy and just like went with
I was gonna say
Ego?
he dodged almost everything earlier, where he was just like,
Exactly.
"Yeah, you tell him" and stuff like that, which I was like, "That's a bit odd." I mean, again, nothing. He didn't do anything, especially in the beginning, where it was like, he is clearly a traitor, but it was still like, yeah, that's a little weird.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Like,
so
I'm not sure if, like, maybe the writers, like, meant to use another battle or something, because Bulkhead didn't seem that suspicious at the time, but by making them both questions about Dark Mount Pass, it shows that he was kind of suspicious from the beginning about something, and he just wanted to make sure. Because he noticed something was off. He mentions it when Wheeljack gets up and goes with Miko.
yeah,
He's like, yeah, something seems off about him.
yeah.
And
They're like,
she's like,
you do
some
realize
bots
it's been
just
a while.
changed.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say it's been a while. He was on a long trip, like maybe cut him some
And then
slack.
Bulkhead's like, nah, Jackie doesn't change, so.
Yeah, which was
But
interesting.
then we have the fight with Wheeljack, like you said, and I said they leave captured Wheeljack with his swords.
Yes. Interesting. I mean, I suppose if your hands are locked up, it's like, what can he do? But at the same time, it's like, no, you take people's weapons when you imprison them.
They're wreckers. They're known for getting out of situations like that. Like,
And just in general, when you imprison someone, you take their weapon. It doesn't even matter what weapons they are. I mean,
like,
on all fairness, though, his hand can turn into a gun, so there's that.
does it though
but-
at any point?
Yeah, he did that in the beginning of the episode.
Oh, yeah, that's
in the
right.
initial fight. Yeah, he doesn't do it later. Which at the same time, I'm like, whenever he's hanging there, why doesn't he turn his hand to a gun and shoot the one cuff? But we don't know how those work, so that it's like magnetizing its hand. So like in all fairness, it could be magnetizing it so he can't.
Well, they
like,
need a lot of
transform at
room
all,
to move
so-
their arm, and it's on his wrist because it fully morphs your arm a little bit too. So it might just not be physically possible.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I was like, why didn't he do that? And then I was like, well, we don't know how
Yeah.
it works, so it's possible that he can't move at all. So, but yeah, weird that they left his swords on. And the next thing I have is he's a Jedi. He reflects lasers. He's a Jedi.
Yeah, he's just like. Well, lasers move very slow in that show, but.
Well, that's because
yeah.
they like to do slow mo all the time. But no, you're
I don't
right.
think they're lasers though. I think they're just energon blasts because they use energon for ammo and other in the
Yeah.
games. I think so.
Yeah, no, yeah, they're probably just energon, but still at the same time, it's like he can reflect those. Like in Star Wars, it's like you can pass that because they have the Force, so therefore it's like the reaction times are faster and stuff. But like,
And
man,
he's like, wow, wow, wow,
he
wow,
doesn't have the
wow.
Force. That is impressive. Or does Wheeljack have the Force?
Oh my
Conspiracy
god.
two.
Oh my god,
Wheeljack is a
Aaron.
Jedi.
I already know the name of this episode.
Does Wheeljack have the Force, or is it Wheeljack is a Jedi?
The- this episode is literally just going to be titled "The Conspiracy,"
You're right.
and that's another con. It's the trifecta Illuminati.
Oh
Oh
my
no!
goodness. See, all my conspiracies are coming to fruition.
Oh my god!
Uh oh, next thing I have so I thought it was a little like whenever Wheeljack first comes through the portal and
He says "Ugly's mine."
yeah, but first I want to say that the action scene is awesome. Like Wheeljack fighting all them, I love that fight.
Oh
But
yeah,
yes, then he comes through the portal and the first thing I thought was like, what about Miko? Like she should
yeah,
die, but and I was gonna say because I thought whenever he kicked Makeshift that like oh Wheeljack's gonna catch Miko, but how does he know Miko's there? He doesn't. It's Bulkhead, so that was like okay,
yeah.
that makes sense. Like that's okay. Still, I feel like that'd be one heck of an impact. She'd probably get tossed around more than that, but hey, whatever, it's passable. But then yes, as you mentioned, the line "Ugly's mine."
Whenever they do that, when it's a double person, I'm like, you're literally just looking at yourself in the mirror. Like, I get the joke, but come on.
I still don't. I like. Yeah, I get the joke, but it's just like, yeah, it's a bit weird that you're just like saying, "Hey, person who looks identical to me." What if he was like, "Sexy is mine"? Yeah, sexy guy's mine. Like that.
That would have been funnier,
That
but like
would've been fun.
it would not have fit Wheeljack at all. That's more like
No,
a smoke
I
screen
know that
thing
would.
to
I was gonna
say.
say that definitely fits smokescreen, but I was just saying that'd be funny. It'd be the opposite of what people would normally say, but
Yeah, smokescreen would be like, "Who's this good-looking bot?" Like,
yeah. But ugly is mine. I was just like, that's interesting.
yeah.
Do you have anything after that other than more dancing?
I have Bulkhead has one hell of a fastball because he really chucks Makeshift.
Oh my
Like,
gosh, yeah, he like spins around several times, lets him go, which I love how the cons are just like,
yeah.
oh no, oh no.
Yeah. I also mentioned there was a distinct lack of Optimus in this episode, and I also want to mention that
Well, they
Makeshift
mentioned
gets
that
really
earlier.
close to Optimus. Like they shake hands, and Makeshift's like just stone cold. Like
Uh-huh.
he doesn't waver, and I'm like, damn, he's face to face with Optimus Prime, and he's less concerned than he is with like the others.
I feel like he should have just had I don't know, some kind of a weapon or something, and that like, who cares? They don't know the location of the base. They kill Optimus Prime, they win.
Yeah,
Like,
imagine
like,
that
you know
though. Like they had him like assassinate Optimus Prime.
Yeah, like that. Like,
8 episodes into the show.
Well, they already killed Megatron like 5 episodes into the show.
God, that'd
so-
be that would have made season 1 so interesting.
without
Damn.
either. Yeah, but anyways, do you have anything after that other than
I just have hella Bulkhead and Wheeljack bromance.
Oh, so before that I have oh my god, that dancing was just awful at the end when everyone's dancing, especially Jack.
Oh yeah.
I was just like, oh gosh, like the Bumblebee and Raph, like I was like, oh yeah, that's okay. The robot, I was like, I didn't care for it that much. Like it's okay. The dancing at the end, I was like, oh my god, everyone's dancing and it's terrible. Like this, that is bad dancing. But, anyways, then yes, we get Wheeljack and Bulkhead bromance, and I thought it was interesting that they ended it with like literally taking a photo and then like showing the photo.
Yeah,
As the
I thought
ending.
what was interesting about that episode was change because they mentioned multiple times how Wheeljack might have just changed, but then like he's like, and I gotta go, and Bulkhead's like, some bots never change, and I'm like, is that the lesson of the story that some people just never change?
Well,
or
I
like,
mean, in all fairness, if you consider it, this is a trope that's happened several times in shows now,
Yeah.
where the character shows up, is like part of the team, and then leaves that episode. But guess what? They come back and join the team later. Wheeljack doesn't do it for a while, in all fairness, but like Robots in Disguise, Drift, it's exactly what Drift did.
yeah,
If you watch that show, like Drift, literally the exact same thing, which I was actually hoping when Robots in Disguise started. I was like, I hope this is a Wheeljack thing, because like I
They
knew
did
he was
that
showing
with,
up for an episode, but he comes back and like
they did that with
actually
Tigatron in Beast Wars.
Exactly. I was gonna say this isn't a new thing. They've done this several times where it's like this cool character shows up for an episode and they're like, no, I can't stay. But then later they stay.
I love how like with this, it's like if you really look at those characters that leave and stay, like you got Drift and Tigatron, who are like these like Namaste type characters, and then you
Uh,
just have Wheeljack, who's like, whoa, I'm gonna mess some stuff up with my swords. Like,
yup.
it's either like the really hot-headed like loner character, or like the very like tranquil like peace-loving character that leaves the team. It's never just like a random guy on the team.
Yeah, it's always there's specific characters, but yeah.
Because you had like Sentinel and Animated who showed up, and then he joined the team at the end to help out, like, kind of, but
Yeah, kinda.
they never actually really had any additions to the team in Animated, now that I think about it.
No, they didn't really.
Huh, that's like the one cast that stayed the same.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's that for that episode.
Yeah, I
I'm
was gonna
pretty
say
sure.
that's pretty much it. I gotta say I do like this episode, and am I incorrect in saying that the next time we see Wheeljack is Dreadwing's introduction next season?
I think so.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
because
this is the last time
Dreadwing
we see
tracks
him.
him back to Earth, right?
I thought he tracked Dreadwing to Earth.
Or yeah, no, he tracks Dreadwing to Earth because of the stuff with Sea Spray.
Yes. It is it? Also,
Yeah,
did
because
you know?
Dreadwing, he meets up with Sea Spray, and Dreadwing goes, "Not today," and he blows up Sea Spray, and then like leaves.
Oh yeah,
So
for some reason I forgot that he was the one that killed Sea Spray. Huh, that's weird.
yeah,
But I knew that Dreadwing was. I knew that like he was following Dreadwing back to Earth because Dreadwing was coming back because of something that's literally already happened.
yeah.
As I say, it's Skyquake's death, which he doesn't.
He's like, "I felt my brother." Like,
I
so
wonder if he can feel whenever he gets revived later. I don't
um,
think so because he has no idea until later when he finds out.
yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think I feel like he would have been like, did any of you touch my dead brother? Like,
Did,
like what?
does someone like stick something in my dead brother's spark that brought him back to life? Because like I felt that. Like,
Guys, I felt something, and I don't know what it was, but someone did something.
I'm feeling real weird right now.
But yeah, so this is all we get of Wheeljack for a little while. Then we'll get a bit more of him, and then he'll stay forever.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, moving on. Next con episode is episode 9, Convoy.
Convoy.
Which I like this title. It's definitely
Yeah.
an homage title. Because if you aren't aware, the homage to this is that the fact that in Japan, Optimus Prime has always gone by the name of Convoy.
I don't think it's an homage, Eric. I think it's just the fact that they're guarding the dingus with a convoy of people.
No, that is okay, but that's not why they named the title of the episode this.
No, I think that's why they named it Convoy, Eric.
No, they definitely did it as an homage.
No,
too.
Eric.
Yes, they did.
How is this up for debate? It's literally a convoy of people.
No, that is why they named. That's why they were able to name it. But like, they definitely named it that, thinking like, hey, it's Convoy.
What would you call the episode otherwise, Eric?
Mech. Or like
That's what
something
you
like
would
that.
call it, mech.
If they weren't a convoy, yeah, something like that. Because it's all the introduction of whatchamacallit. Well, Mech, but Silas mainly. I keep forgetting that the organization is called Mech. I did not remember that before I watched the episode. For some reason, I really thought they were called something else. I remembered Silas's name for sure. Like, Silas sticks out. But, again, yeah, this is interesting because this is another episode. I swear, whoever wrote this, I am certain they titled it thinking. Like, I know that it's called Convoy because of what happens. But, like, that they were also like, hey, we could call this Convoy. And, like, they were thinking when they named it, like, hey, it's Convoy. Maybe I'm crazy, but I really feel like they did that on purpose. And I'm typically not one who thinks those type of things. You know what? Maybe we can have this crazy conspiracy. But I think that this is, like, this actually, I think that they could have done that legitimately. But, alas, we'll move on. So this episode, brief overview. Agent Fowler's like, hey, we gotta protect my dingus. And the Autobots are like, what's a dingus? And he's like, it's this thing that can blow stuff up, basically. And they're like, okay.
It's like a nuclear reactor, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's not intended to blow stuff up, but that's where he's like, yeah, it's a what, and they're like, well, that sounds primitive. Who cares? And he's like, yeah, it can blow stuff up. And they're like, okay, we care. So then they make a convoy and they protect the dingus.
Yeah,
and
a
then,
convoy, kind of like the name of the episode.
I know that that's why it's called Convoy, but I'm saying
I'm not gonna let you
certain.
live this down.
No, I'm saying I know that's why they named it. I'm also certain that they were also thinking like Convoy is in Optimus Prime.
All right, all right.
I'm certain that they did it for
I
that
won't
reason.
argue with you anymore about it.
I'm sure it's a double thing. But they so then they're like, "Oh no, Decepticons." But turns out they're not Decepticons, which I find it weird that like Agent Fowler just assumed because a helicopter shot him there's a Decepticon. Like what he was transporting wasn't even Cybertronian. So it's like why would you assume just because a vehicle fired on you that it's a Decepticon? I don't know.
They've used human technology before though.
No, but I'm saying like just in general, like
Honestly, like
what
if your line of work was Fowler seems to like only deal with Transformers on a normal basis, so maybe that's why he assumed.
I mean, I thought he was just in charge of them. He does other military stuff, like what he was doing, because what he was doing had nothing to do with the Autobots till they
Yeah,
were needed. So that's why I'm
but I
like,
think I
why
think
would
at
you
that
assume?
point though, that was the only threat he assumed would attack him like that. Because I mean, if you were Agent Fowler and you work with the Transformers constantly, the Decepticons know who you are. They essentially know where to find you. They know what kind of plane you fly. I think it would be safe to assume that he was assuming it was cons because he knows the cons are a threat and they know who he is now.
I guess, but still, it's like, why would they want that? I
Who
don't know.
knows, man?
But still, I just thought it was interesting that like like he wasn't like that could be Decepticons. He's like that is a Decepticon, and then they figure out no, that those aren't Decepticons. Those are people. Um, but really briefly, as you mentioned with the jet, I like the continuity here. Did you see what jet he crashed?
Yeah, the one he was flying during the fight with Skyquake.
Yep, I was gonna say it is the like the mode that Skyquake and Dreadwing are. So, yeah, I appreciated that. Also, interesting thing to note. I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure since his jet gets destroyed here, the next vehicle he's gonna have is
Is the
gonna. I
helicopter?
think it's the helicopter, which gets scanned, and then he switches back to a jet, which gets scanned. But alas,
Yeah.
just a
All
small
right.
thing. I'm just thinking. I think that actually is why he has a helicopter next time, is because of what's
Maybe.
happened. But I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see when we get there.
Yep. Uh, then Dingus, as I mentioned. I don't.
Dingus.
Why? Why did they feel the need to call this a dingus?
Imagine if they named the episode Dingus.
They should have. They should have. No, they should have
The
named it
Dingus.
Dingus Convoy.
Oh my god. Dingus Dingamus Prime. Oh my god. We just came up with like Jared's next Digibash. Dingamus Convoy.
Jeez, but yeah, it's not even that like I get they named it as as the dingus because it was funny like the joke, but they say dingus so many times in this
They
episode.
take it so seriously despite being self-aware of the joke.
I mean, I know that's the thing. It's like they're self-aware of the joke because they do that several times. But it's like they say it so many times later. It's like why can't you just stop calling it that? Like it was funny to begin with, but like, geez, you're saying it so much and just being so serious about it later. Even though I know they know it's a joke, but like, just a lot of dingus to handle. But next thing I have is, hey, that's a nice trailer you got there, Optimus. Do you like
Mm.
that? Did you like that trailer? Was it nice to see?
It's apparently in the colors of the G1 one, so.
I know it even had the stripe and the Autobot symbol exactly how the G1 one was. So I was like, okay, that's neat. I liked it. I wondered why there was an Autobot symbol. I'm almost certain there was an Autobot symbol on it. I'm like, does he does he have that trailer and never use it except for this one time? Like, because if it didn't have the Autobot symbol, I was like, oh, they just gave him a trailer. It just happens to have that stripe, just cause.
Yeah.
But like the Autobot symbol, I'm like, okay, it's clearly his. Like that is for them to use. But
And I
he
love how
never.
they actually find a way to get rid of the trailer in the episode. But we can talk about that when we get to talking about the episode and not just the synopsis.
Yeah.
Unless
Oh,
I've
no,
blacked
no,
out for the
no,
past 2
'cause
minutes and we're talking
No,
this
no, we're talking
show.
we're talking about the actual episode now.
Oh.
Or did I not finish the synopsis?
You didn't finish the synopsis. You just went on this whole tirade about Dingus.
You're right. Synopsis. So I was talking about the dingus. Basically, because I said then they find out it's humans that are tracking them. They do a switch off eventually at a train, so they get rid of the dingus, but no one knows that because they can't go in the train. They go into a tunnel, and that's why they don't see the switch off. So they're still following the Autobots. They blow up the trailer, and they're like, we're not dead. There ain't no dingus in there." So then they go, and they're like, "Oh no, they put the dingus in the train. Let's go chase the train." And then everyone's like, "Oh no!" They realized it as they're fighting the Decepticons because they're all busy because the Decepticons showed up and fired only 4 missiles despite there being like 10 of them. But I digress.
Yeah.
Then Optimus Prime is like, Agent Fowler's like, "Optimus, you gotta stop them. They know where the dingus is." And Optimus Prime's like, "Okay," and gets
The ding dong dingus.
he gets hit in the face with a tree. It falls off a cliff and is incapacitated after Agent Fowler tells him this. I just thought it was funny. He was just like, "Optimus, go get the dingus." Okay, tree to the face. Never mind.
Yeah.
But he goes and he saves the day. Prevents the dingus from being exploded. And Silas and Mech is like, "You know what? Let's go. We figured out other stuff that can be useful later on for plot development. So let's go and survive." And they go.
And then like Miko's like, "Hey Jack, we should jump out of this train together." Like,
Yeah. Miko and Jack think they're gonna die. There's some funny dialogue, but Optimus Prime saves the day, as always, and that's about it. So. Next, so breaking it down, we were already somewhat into it because I thought we were breaking it down. So I already get to the dingus. The trailer.
Yeah, you were like, you just went on this tirade and then just started talking, and I was like, "Where are we?"
So the next thing I have is I like how Optimus.
Next thing, where are we?
Well, I'm past the trailer now. So I have.
I'm before the trailer.
Oh, what do you have?
Do you mean like before the trailer gets blown? Do you mean after the trailer gets blown up?
Oh no! Just mentioning that. Hey, he has a nice G1 trailer on.
I want to talk about how Fowler's not driving and he loves honking the horn.
That's what I had next. Was like I like how there's that awkward exchange where like Fowler's like touching the wheel and he's like, "No, don't worry, I've got this." Like,
you touch my tra-la-la.
Stop. He's like, "Hey, I'll drive myself," and Fowler's like, "Okay, fine." Like, I find it funny that he's offended by that. Like,
just the comments he makes throughout this episode are great. When he's like, he goes to turn on the radio and he's like, "You seem like a Nashville sound kind of guy."
I thought that was funny.
Did you just say Optimus is into country? Like,
I thought that was funny. I think that's the only time where Optimus Prime is ever explicitly given a a specific type of music he listens to. But then I have how he's like, he's like, "Don't tell me how Fowler's honking the horn because there's this
those by the book drivers.
He's a government agent.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, you're one of them
the
by the book drivers."
The situation's important, but he makes like an old person drive off the road. We're assuming they're old, but like they drive off the road. I'm like, that's terrible. And I get Optimus Prime doesn't argue with him at first because they are carrying like a thing that could be turned into a weapon of mass destruction. It's important, but still, he like keeps talking after he passes him. And he's just like, "Is that really necessary?" And he's like, "Don't tell me you're one of those textbook drivers." I'm just like.
I'm like, what?
One but then like agent.
What is it? Then those guys show up or whatever, and he's like, "Who is it? Wingnut, Dingbat, Sky Guy?" And I'm like, those would actually be Decepticon names. Like
the Sky Guy. So I can't hear the name Sky Guy and not think of the Clone Wars because that is what Ahsoka calls Anakin. So I heard that I was just like Sky Guy. But alas, continuing on after those ridiculous names, which I thought was funny. Yes, they realize it's mech and all that, which I did actually. We talked about that a bit too already. I did think that mech was just an interesting name. Did they say what mech stands for?
They do later on.
Okay. Next thing I have was we get Silas's introduction officially. He says his name.
Yes.
I'm like, yay, Silas, because Silas is pretty darn important. He's in every season of the show, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
then they have they don't or use minimal force, and then
oh my god, yes, I love how he says.
And then they just straight up like murder people.
Yeah, no, so he's like disarm only, and like there's a couple situations where it's like, oh, you ran them off the road, but like the car flips, but it's like they could survive. Still, like he said disarm only, but no. Then I get to my next point, which at first I was like, where's RC? Then you find out where RC is. She's inside the trailer because they bust open the trailer. She comes out and she blows up a car.
Yeah, and they just blow up. I'm like,
They
that
murdered
is not
those
minimal force.
Like,
Well, I
she
think at
just
that point though, they realized that they were trying to steal the dingus, so they were
That's
like,
that's
screw it.
I know that's what I was thinking too, but I was still like Optimus Prime did not give any orders to
Yeah,
like
I just wrote
okay
down
more.
RC straight up murders
And
people.
she murdered those people pretty bad. It's not like, oh, just shoot out their tires. Like, no, she blew up the car. Like, at least
Yeah.
Bulkhead rammed them off the road, and like, even though, like the car tumbled over to flip. But it's like they could survive that. But like, no, she blew up the car. I'm like,
Yeah.
geez, there are.
Then the cons show up and start mucking stuff up. And I wrote the episode feels too crowded when that happens. Like, there's just too many factions at that point in the episode.
It's to distract. You know why? It's so all the Autobots can't focus on Mech and stopping the train later.
Yeah, I know, but there's like 3 or 4 different things happening at once. There's the mech fight, or not the mech fight, there's the cons showing up, there's them escaping mech, there's Silas going after it, there's the kids getting on the train, there's like it's just and there's Optimus finding out about that and running while they take on the Decepticons, mech still going after the train, them still getting on there. Like there's so many things there's like 4 things constantly happening at once. It's just crazy.
It does get busy, but I thought it was managed okay, but you're right, it is a lot. But the thing I have is because you said the Decepticons show up. One con shot missiles. Literally, there were like 8 or something like that there, flying there. And the one in the middle and the front shot 4 missiles. They all come off of his wings, and no one else shoots missiles.
Oh, man. I liked it interesting when they actually got to the fight, though, because you can see how every character is done with their own fighting style. RC is very much a kicker. Bumblebee boxes. Like,
yes,
Hulkhead just hits things.
My thing was, why was no one using guns in that fight?
I think it was very up close. Like, the cons weren't using them, so they didn't. I don't know.
I just found that odd. Like, why don't you shoot the cons before they land? 1, but also 2, why is no one using guns? Now, RC does use her blaster a little bit later, like after Optimus Prime gets knocked down, like still during the fight. You do see her use the blaster once, but still in the very beginning, everyone's doing fist to fist. I'm like,
then you have to think, Eric.
Why? It's cool, but why?
Exactly. Does it follow the rule of cool? If it's cool, do it. Like,
yeah. So
that is the rule of cool. Even if it doesn't make a total sense. If it's cool, it works. And it was cool. Bumblebee, like, slipping jabs and stuff. That was pretty dope. And then Optimus gets decked square with a log. Like, I remembered it differently in my head, too. I didn't remember him butting him in the face with it like the butt of a gun. I remembered him just full-on swinging it and hitting him. I feel like that happens somewhere else in some other series or something, but...
Maybe. But all I gotta say is, I freaking loved Optimus Prime getting a tree to the face.
That was done really well too. Like the shot on that was great.
You know what that?
He just like turns around and it's like,
that was definitely
that's me. Like wait, you're wondering how I got into this.
What year did Transformers Prime start? I know what
2000...
It was 9, wasn't it?
12?
No, not 9. Yeah, I meant 12. Why did I say 2009?
You were thinking of Revenge of the Fallen.
No, yeah, that okay, because that's what I was about to say. Is that you know what that was an homage to? That was definitely. I feel like it was a homage to the forest fight with.
Man, everything with you is homages to conspiracies, man.
It was no. I feel like that is though. Name another time that a Transformer takes a tree to the face.
Or there's just the fact that they were surrounded by trees. One of them uprooted it and hit him in the face.
That's not a common occasion. That's only been.
No, wait. I think that happened in G1 once. Something with a tree happened in G1.
Did someone get hit in the face with a tree? I don't remember that. But still,
no, doesn't one of them use a tree to knock a missile back or something? No, they use the stadium lights for that. That's what that is.
But like, I feel like it's not a stretch. The Revenge of the Fallen came out 3 years beforehand, and that is still one of the most iconic scenes of the movie series in general.
Yeah, but no one gets hit with a tree in that scene.
Yes, they do.
They do?
Yes, Optimus Prime.
It's been a while since I've watched that movie.
Picks up a tree and starts. Yeah, I was gonna say he literally picks up a tree and hits them with it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that movie's not good though.
That scene is. The movie's not at all. That scene is awesome.
It's like that. It's like that tweet I made. I don't know if you ever saw it because you never got on me about it, but I tweeted. Everyone's welcome to opinions. There are people that like the Transformers movies. We call them Eric, and they're wrong.
Yeah, I saw that.
You didn't respond at all, and I'm like, oh, he didn't see it.
No, I was busy whenever you tweeted. I liked it, but I was busy, and then I forgot.
Just
about
to be clear,
I did see that.
I had that pre-approved by some other people in the group. I didn't just tweet that randomly. That came up in discussion as a joke, and I was like, should I tweet that? And everyone was like, yeah. So
what show
I questioned it first. I don't know.
What's the anime part? Anyway,
I won't say.
But yeah. Oh, I like how they say kick some tailpipe too. But I really do like that shot of the log to the face. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Um, I
And I
do
have
like there's a slight bit of continuity that I just want to appreciate really quick is how they say they can't use the ground bridge on a location that's moving too fast. I just recently watched the episode of Robots in Disguise where that is also an issue, where they're on a train and they can't
yeah.
do that. So,
You know what that reminds me of? I can't remember what year this movie came out. You know the new Star Trek movies?
yes.
In the first one, when they're falling and Scotty has to grab them out, like
Uh-huh.
he takes over for Chekhov and then pulls them out or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it reminded me of. Like that scene you're talking about in the What's in the Sky or whatever. It made me think of that because the transporter can't get something that's moving. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what.
Next thing I have is that poor soldier got tased. The one soldier guarding the,
Which didn't
state
totally
dips.
make sense to me either, because they have rubber boots on.
Yeah, but it was a really strong taser, man.
Yeah, but rubber like auto.
No, no, I'm more questioning the fact that why was there one soldier in there when they've already
All right,
specified
that's
that
true
this could
too.
destroy at least one state, but probably multiple states.
Yeah, that's true too. I don't have anything else until them hacking Raph's computer and it just like exploding.
Um, yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, the next thing I have is why does Mech care about any of this when they're like, yeah, we need new technology, like the newest technology to win, like, the war and stuff.
Yeah.
They have technology that can override hacking.
I think they were gonna use it as a power source.
No, I still don't care. They're like talking about how they need the most amazing technology. They have the technology to override hacking. That is so much more important than anything else they could probably get from this situation or even later. They never use this again. I'm like, they literally have the ability to never be hacked and to
That's
destroy the
true.
device that anyone is hacking from. I'm like, that is a that is like a god power in this day and age.
Yeah,
And
but
it's
then they
just like,
leave.
yeah, that's just minorly mentioned real quick. Next thing I have is oh, so I'm going to mention this now and not later because we don't see it in the shot now when they're on the train, but we do see it later. Is why didn't they pick up whenever Miko and Jack are getting
Mhm.
they get the fire extinguisher and the axe, and they're
Why
like,
didn't
yeah,
they pick up the gun?
yeah, why didn't they pick up the gun? Because at first you don't
Because it's a
see the
kids
gun.
show, Eric.
You don't see the gun. The guys were pointing guns at them. The mech soldiers were firing guns earlier and pointing guns at them. So it's like, why can't they pick up a gun? But anyways, I was like, because you didn't see it in the shot then. So I was like, okay, technically we don't know that like they can see it. Like maybe it's on the other side of the thing and they don't see the gun. No, later in a shot later towards the very end, you see that the gun is right by them. I'm like, why didn't they pick up the gun? You're right, really, because it's like it's a kids show. They don't want the show to show the kids picking up guns and shooting people. But, yeah, I was just like, why did you pick up a fire extinguisher and an axe when there was a rifle right there? But alas,
Because it's a kids show,
they
Eric.
have interesting choices. Next thing I have is why didn't they just shoot the kids? Like for real? I
I
get
put why'd they shoot so far in front of the train when they leave? That's what I have next. So.
there's that, but I was like, no, I meant like literally when they were like getting on
Oh
board
yeah,
to take
I
it.
gotcha.
Why didn't they just shoot the kids? Like
Because they are fools, Eric,
because
and it's a
plot-
kids show.
I was gonna say plot point. It's a kids show, but I was like, really? If the thing you needed was right there and there were kids threatening you, you just need a thing. You're gonna like even if you don't kill him, you're gonna shoot him in the foot or something. But you're right. Next thing I have is maximum overdrive. I just
Oh
love
my
that
God! Yes, they keep saying that.
Optimus Prime just
What
like
does that
maximum
mean?
overdrive and speeds up. Like that's awesome. It makes no sense, but it's awesome.
Maximum overdrive. And then I have Migos ready to commit suicide. She's like,
Oh
we
my-
can either die from the impact or die from the explosion.
And she's
it's
writing
like,
her will. She's like making a phone call. She's like, "This is really important. Make sure Bulkhead gets my guitar." I'm like, "Bulkhead can't play your guitar." But yeah. But yes, she's preparing to jump off the train. I mean, okay, now my question is, do you think she thinks she's going to die from that? I feel like she knows it's
I
really
don't
risky and they could
know.
die, but I feel like whenever she was saying, well, it's either that or, where we die in the blast right here. So I feel like she was thinking, like, that's really going to hurt and we could die, but we might not die. But if we stay here and blow up, we're definitely going to die. Although, in all fairness, if the thing blows up, it's already been specified that blows up a state. So, like,
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
as you
They're
say, it
dead
doesn't
anyway.
matter. But, alas,
And then Optimus just like
stops the
stops
train.
the.
I loved that, actually.
Yeah,
I actually really liked that.
that reminded me of the scene from The Incredibles.
Oh, that reminded me of the scene from Spider-Man, actually.
Or that.
Yeah, that's
I
what it
actually
made me
just
think
watched
of.
Spider-Man 3 last night.
Is that the movie he stops the train in?
No, that's Spider-Man 2.
Okay, I was
But
gonna say, I was like, I
I
didn't know.
really enjoy Spider-Man 3, and people can hate me for it, but I really enjoy Spider-Man
I
3.
love and hate that movie.
I think everyone has a love-hate relationship with it because it's a good movie with bad moments, kind of like Revenge of the Sith. It's a good movie, it just has very bad moments that drag it down.
Yes, I would have to agree with that. And I love Revenge of the Sith as well. So that's another thing where it's like, yeah, I love it,
We can
but
talk
it
more
has
about that movie on Awesome Asylum sometime or something.
there's some terrible moments, but overall I love it. But yes, next thing I have is they scanned Optimus. It's really easy to get Transformer scans nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, he did specifically say, like, okay, we're going to need to open him up to see what makes him tick, which, guess what? They will. That's foreshadowing. They will. But not Optimus. Well, you know what? No, I'm trying to think. That doesn't make sense. Anyways, we'll get to that. But, yeah. We will. I almost spoiled what it was. Optimus Prime is scanned by them. So yeah, foreshadowing there. The next thing, I like how Optimus Prime specifically says these are Decepticons inside of human skin. I was just like, that's a really creepy way to put it. You could have just said there's evil humans, but you're like,
Yeah.
no, that we have Decepticons in human skin. I'm like, okay, that was a little creepy. But that's all I have for that episode. Do you have anything else or no?
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's about it. I gotta say I actually really like these two episodes. I was fond of them. They're not my favorite two episodes by a long shot, but
Yeah.
they were both better than I remembered. Like whenever people say Transformers Prime is a boring show, which I get not loving it, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's more boring than a lot of first like season of shows. I'm just saying. Um, the whatchamacallit, the convoy episode is actually one that I think of when people say it's boring, just because to me, like as a kid especially, I was like, there's not really, like, it's not Autobots versus Decepticons, like this isn't exciting.
Yeah.
Now, Mech gets more exciting later, so don't get me
Oh yeah,
wrong, they
definitely.
for sure, they go up a notch, especially because this is their introduction, so this is really like set up for them to get more exciting later, but yeah, as a kid, I was like, this isn't as exciting. Watching the episode again, I was like, no, actually, that wasn't a bad episode. It's not like,
Yeah, it's not terrible.
it's not earth shattering, but I was like, yeah, I actually
There's
like
better
it. It was
episodes
fun.
though. It
Oh,
was
for
kind of like
sure.
an episode that was just purely set up.
Yeah, which in all honesty, it's like, it's not as great now, but it wasn't terrible. But
Yeah.
it pays off later, for sure, because
Exactly.
there's some cool story arcs that come from this episode that are not even remotely, they've never been toyed around with, I think, at least in the same
Yeah.
way that we get, especially from the character of Silas. He's something that we've never had anything like in Transformers before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so lots set
I'd
up.
argue that the closest is, at least in like cartoons, is Dr. Arkaville.
Yes, that's the closest, but it's still not that close, but I would agree.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, no.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. Yeah, he's like the closest thing.
We have stuff
Which,
like that in the comics, but like in cartoons, I
yeah,
would say
I was
Dr.
the same.
Arkaville or the Headmaster.
Yeah, I guess kind of the headmaster, but still, like this is a different level of creepiness too. But we'll get to that eventually. So next week we will be discussing episodes 10 and 11. I don't know the titles because I haven't looked at it yet, but yeah, you'll get episodes 10 and 11 from us on next week for TFPrimecast. Other shows you can check out for Transformers needs. You can check out our sister podcast, Misaligned, which is the Aligned Continuity podcast. The episode about War for Cybertron just went up the day of this recording, so whenever you're listening to this, that episode is up. I believe it's episode 6. And then next episode should be, I'm guessing, Rise of the Dark Spark, technically, since they're splitting up the video games, and that one would be next in chronological order. But don't hold me to that. Other podcasts you can check out Transformers-wise. Again, our news podcast for Transformers is Steel City Bots, our main Transformers show, our most popular show, which if you listen to this, you probably listen to that. But if you don't, definitely go check out Steel City Bots. Other podcasts on Nerdy Geek Talk by the way, we talked about Mad Pax, which is Nemesis Orion Pax, and his pet bird on that episode. Just pointing that out there. Pretty awesome stuff. But other podcasts, Holocron Herald, our Clone Wars breakdown, in a similar fashion to this. We break down Star Wars: The Clone Wars. We just broke down one of the only episodes that is a self-contained episode. It's not part of an arc, which almost all of them are, but even if they aren't an arc, usually they will get a prequel or sequel episode later. This is one of the only ones called Trespass.
What episode?
Trespass. It's the one with the furry snow people and the snow troopers.
Oh yeah.
That one is the
You see those characters later, but they don't really reference it.
Yeah, nothing from that episode pertains later in terms of the events that happen or characters. There's no sequel or prequel to it. So yeah, it's literally one of the only self-contained episodes in the series. And we also discussed the Blue Shadow Virus arc, which was not nearly as bad as we remembered it being. There were some really solid moments in those 2 episodes, and we like Trespass, so definitely go check that out. Also I just said Holocron. Mandalore Mandate, our Star Wars news podcast, where we discussed lots of Han Solo stuff, and our favorite era of Star Wars. Not necessarily favorite trilogy of movies, but our favorite era.
Clone Wars is best era?
Yes, by far, which is what we said. Now, that could change in the future, because who knows? We have, nothing outside of the movies for sequel trilogy era. So, in 10 years, who knows? There could be some amazing stuff. But as of right now, especially because I count Rebels as kind of the same era, because for me, original trilogy starts when A New Hope starts.
Yeah.
So, I still count that. So, especially if you count in Rebels, there's no doubt that the prequel era is the best era in terms of Star Wars lore. Again, not the movies. But
let's not get into this.
Yeah. So definitely go check that out. And then
check out Anime Overdrive.
Yes.
Our new anime podcast where we discussed different shows coming out this season. So.
Yep. And there will be another episode of that and a new host joining that. My host from Mandalore Mandate and Holocron Herald, Luke, who is an interesting.
The funny thing is, Christabel was actually looking at another host the day before you said that.
Yeah, she had talked to me about him before, but I had asked her to show me stuff, and she didn't. So I was like, well, I'm not going to.
We can talk about it afterwards, but I can actually vouch for that guy. So.
Oh yeah, I said that he could be on the show sometimes for sure. I already.
Oh yeah, because I know who he is. I've interacted with him on Twitter before. He's actually.
But I gave Luke the first spot because he's already on Nerdy Geek Talk. So I was like.
I got it. You just don't want to bring any more people into the fold.
We have a lot of people on Nerdy Geek Talk.
We do.
A lot,
I've said this. I have so many people's numbers. I don't even know who they are though, because I don't do shows with a lot of these people. So I'm like, who are these people?
You've been on a show with almost everyone at this point now. Actually.
Yeah.
Almost. I think you've been on a show with probably everyone. I think you're one of the few people.
Yeah, because I've
been. It doesn't mean you know them well.
I've appeared on most shows at least once.
But that's all the shows for this week. If you don't, make sure to go follow us on at Nerdy Geek Talk on Twitter, where we tweet out new episodes and stuff. And also, subscribe to Nerdy Geek Talk on any of your favorite podcast places: Google Play, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Podbean are all the places. Follow there. You'll get all of our shows that I just mentioned. And you know what? If you don't want to listen to one show every single day of the week, because that's how many we have, you can just listen to your favorites. You'll still have them all there in case you want to try some new ones. And then individually, you can find me at Eric Crowbar on Twitter or at Aramis Prime on Instagram, ERIMUS Prime on Instagram. I post desk spots there. It's funny. So, go check those out. And Aaron, where can people find you on the interwebs?
You can find me at Maroyasha, MAROYASHA, on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. So, yeah.
So, yeah, hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will be back next week. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Stay safe.